There has never been a louder time to be alive. Every day begins with the glow of a screen and ends the same way. Notifications wake us up. Messages chase us throughout the day. Social media whispers in the background. Emails demand attention. News updates interrupt thoughts. Ads compete for seconds of awareness. And somewhere in the middle of all that noise, we try to live our lives. We try to dream. We try to build. We try to become something more. Yet many people quietly feel stuck, not because they lack talent, intelligence, or ambition, but because they lack focus. This is the hidden crisis of the modern world. For the first time in history, distraction is no longer occasional. It is constant. It is engineered. It is addictive. And most people don't even realize how much of their lives it quietly steals. Minutes turn into hours. Hours turn into days. Days turn into years. One short scroll becomes an entire evening gone. One quick check becomes a broken morning. One notification becomes a shattered flow of thought that never fully returns. And the cost of this scattered attention is enormous. Dreams remain ideas instead of realities. Projects stay unfinished. Goals feel permanently almost started. Life begins to feel busy but not meaningful. This audiobook begins with a powerful truth. Focus is the new superpower. In a world where everyone is distracted, the person who can concentrate deeply has an extraordinary advantage. The person who can sit down, eliminate noise, and give full attention to a single task is no longer ordinary. They are rare, and rare skills create extraordinary results. Think about the people you admire. The creators, innovators, entrepreneurs, leaders, and artists who seem to move forward while others stay stuck. What separates them from the rest of the world is often not genius or luck. It is their ability to protect their attention and direct it with intention. They know something most people forget. Your attention is your life. Where your attention goes, your time goes. Where your time goes, your progress goes. Where your progress goes, your future goes. Distraction is not harmless entertainment. It is the silent thief of potential. It steals your mornings when you planned to start early. It steals your evenings when you meant to work on your dreams. It steals your energy when you hoped to feel motivated. It steals your confidence when unfinished goals begin to pile up. But here is the hopeful truth. Focus is not a personality trait. It is not something you either have or don't have. It is a skill, and like any skill, it can be trained, strengthened, and mastered. This audiobook is your guide to reclaiming control of your attention, and by doing so, reclaiming control of your life. You will discover why your brain struggles to concentrate in the modern world, and why this struggle is not your fault. You will learn how multitasking quietly reduces your effectiveness, even when it feels productive. You will understand how your environment shapes your focus more than willpower ever could. Most importantly, you will learn practical strategies you can apply immediately. How to eliminate distractions without feeling deprived. How to build deep work habits that actually stick. How to train your brain to concentrate longer and with less effort. How to design your days around clarity instead of chaos. How to turn focus into confidence and confidence into momentum. Because focus is not only about productivity, it is about freedom. Freedom from constant busyness, freedom from unfinished goals, freedom from the feeling that life is moving faster than you are. When you learn to focus deeply, something powerful happens. Work becomes more meaningful, progress becomes visible, motivation becomes natural, and life begins to feel intentional instead of reactive. You stop chasing time. You start directing it. Imagine waking up and knowing exactly what matters today. Imagine working without the urge to constantly check your phone. Imagine finishing what you start. Imagine ending the day proud of how you used your time. This is not a fantasy. It is the natural result of mastering focus. Over the next chapters, you will move step by step from distraction to clarity, from scattered effort to deep work, from busyness to meaningful progress. This is not about perfection. This is not about working non-stop. This is about working with purpose. Because the truth is simple, the future does not belong to the busiest people. It belongs to the most focused ones. And your journey toward laser-like focus begins right now. Welcome to Limitless Listening, your space for growth, inspiration, and powerful life-changing ideas. On this channel, we bring the wisdom of motivational and personal development books to life through immersive audiobook experiences designed to help you grow while you listen. Whether you're commuting, relaxing, exercising, or winding down for the day, this is your time to invest in yourself. Take a deep breath, get comfortable, and allow this audiobook to guide your mind toward clarity, focus, and purpose. Every lesson you hear is an opportunity to reflect, improve, and move one step closer to the person you want to become. Now, let's begin the journey toward mastering focus and eliminating distractions for success. Chapter 1. The Distracted Generation. We are living in the most connected era in human history, and paradoxically, one of the most distracted. At any given moment, millions of people are checking notifications, scrolling through endless feeds, switching between tabs, replying to messages, and consuming bite-sized pieces of information. The modern world has become a constant stream of stimuli, all competing for one scarce and valuable resource: your attention. Attention is no longer just a mental function. It has become a commodity, and in this economy, most people are unknowingly broke. Not long ago, focus was the default. Distraction required effort. If you wanted to interrupt someone, you had to physically go to them, call them on a landline, or wait until they were available. Silence was normal. Boredom was common. Today, silence is rare, and boredom feels almost unbearable. Your phone buzzes, your screen lights up, a notification appears. Even when nothing is happening, your mind expects something to happen. You check your device, not because you need to, but because you're conditioned to. This is digital noise. It's not just the number of devices or apps you use. It's the constant interruption of your thoughts, the fragmentation of your attention, and the subtle pressure to always stay connected. This noise doesn't just fill your time, it reshapes your brain. The fragmented mind. Every time you switch tasks, checking a message while working, opening a new tab while reading, glancing at your phone during a conversation, you pay a hidden cost. This cost is called attention residue. When you move from one task to another, a part of your mind stays stuck on the previous activity. You are never fully present in the new task. Instead, your focus becomes divided, shallow, and inefficient. Over time, this constant switching trains your brain to crave novelty, avoid sustained effort, lose tolerance for deep thinking. You start to feel restless when things are quiet. You struggle to concentrate on a single task for long periods. Even when you try to focus, your mind searches for distractions. This is not a lack of discipline. It is a conditioned response. The distracted generation is not weak. It is trained. The illusion of productivity. In a world full of activity, it's easy to confuse movement with progress. You reply to emails, you attend meetings, you scroll through information, you stay busy all day, and at the end of it, you feel exhausted, but not accomplished. Why? Because most of what we do today is reactive, not intentional. Digital platforms are designed to pull you in, keep you engaged, and encourage constant interaction. Every notification feels urgent, every update seems important, but very little of it contributes to meaningful progress. You are busy, but not productive. True productivity requires focus, uninterrupted, intentional focus on tasks that matter. But focus is exactly what the modern environment disrupts. The result is a cycle. You get distracted. Your work takes longer. You feel behind. You try to multitask. You become more distracted. and the cycle continues. The dopamine loop. At the core of digital distraction lies a powerful psychological mechanism, the dopamine loop. Every notification, like, message, or update triggers a small release of dopamine, the brain's reward chemical. This creates a sense of anticipation and pleasure. But here's the catch. Dopamine is not about satisfaction. It's about craving. The more you engage with quick rewards, the more your brain seeks them. Over time, your tolerance increases. You need more stimulation to feel the same level of engagement. This is why you check your phone without thinking. You scroll longer than you intend. You feel a constant urge to stay connected. Your brain becomes wired for instant gratification. Deep work, on the other hand, reading, writing, problem-solving, does not provide immediate rewards. It requires patience, effort, and sustained attention. In a brain conditioned by dopamine loops, these activities start to feel difficult, even uncomfortable. So you avoid them, not because they are hard, but because your brain has been trained to prefer easy stimulation. The death of deep work. Deep work is the ability to focus without distraction on a cognitively demanding task. It is the skill that allows you to learn faster, think more clearly, and produce high-quality results. In the past, deep work was common. Today, it is rare. Most people operate in a state of shallow work, constant interruptions, short bursts of attention, surface-level thinking, minimal creativity. This shift has profound consequences. Without deep work, you struggle to master complex skills. Your thinking becomes reactive instead of strategic. Your output lacks depth and originality. In a distracted world, the ability to focus deeply is no longer just an advantage. It is a superpower. The attention economy. To understand why distraction is so widespread, you need to understand one thing. Your attention is valuable. Every platform, app, and service you use is competing for it. The longer you stay engaged, the more data is collected. The more ads are shown, the more revenue is generated. This means the system is designed to keep you hooked. Infinite scrolling removes stopping cues. Notifications create urgency. Algorithms show content tailored to your preferences. Rewards are unpredictable, making them more addictive. You are not just using these platforms, they are using you. This does not mean technology is bad. It means it is powerful, and like any powerful tool, it requires conscious use. Without awareness, you become a passive consumer. With awareness, you can become an intentional user. The cost of constant distraction. The effects of digital noise go far beyond reduced productivity. It impacts how you think, feel, and live. 1. Reduced focus. You find it harder to concentrate on tasks that require sustained attention. 2. Increased stress. Constant notifications create a sense of urgency and overwhelm. 3. Shallow thinking. You process more information, but understand less of it. 4. Decreased creativity. Creative ideas require space, silence, and deep thought, all of which are disrupted by noise. 5. Poor memory. When your attention is divided, your brain struggles to encode and retain information. 6. Lower satisfaction. You consume more, but feel less fulfilled. In short, distraction doesn't just steal your time, it diminishes your life. Many people believe they are good at multitasking. In reality, true multitasking is a myth. What you are actually doing is task switching, rapidly shifting your attention from one thing to another. This comes at a cost: reduced efficiency, increased errors, mental fatigue, lower quality of work. Each switch requires your brain to reorient itself. This consumes energy and reduces clarity. The more you multitask, the less effective you become. Focus is not about doing more things at once. It is about doing one thing well. One of the most overlooked consequences of digital noise is the disappearance of boredom. Boredom used to be a natural part of life. It created space for reflection, imagination, and creativity. Now every idle moment is filled. Waiting in line, check your phone, sitting quietly, scroll through social media, feeling bored, open an app. You have trained your brain to avoid stillness. But stillness is where insight happens. When your mind is not occupied, it begins to wander. It connects ideas. It processes experiences. It generates new thoughts. Without boredom, you lose this mental space. You become a consumer of ideas instead of a creator of them. Reclaiming your attention. The good news is this: your attention can be trained. Just as distraction is learned, focus can be rebuilt, but it requires intention. The first step is awareness. Notice how often you check your phone. Notice how quickly you switch tasks. Notice how uncomfortable silence feels. This is not about judgment. It is about understanding. Once you see the patterns, you can begin to change them. The power of single tasking. In a world obsessed with multitasking, single tasking is a radical act. It means doing one thing at a time, giving it your full attention, completing it before moving on. At first, this may feel slow, but over time, it becomes more efficient. You make fewer mistakes. You think more clearly. You produce better work. Most importantly, you regain control over your mind. Creating a focused environment. Your environment shapes your behavior. If your surroundings are full of distractions, your mind will be too. To improve focus, you need to design your environment intentionally. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Keep your workspace clean and simple. Set specific times for checking messages. Create boundaries between work and leisure. Small changes can have a big impact. Focus is not just a mental skill. It is an environmental outcome. The discipline of attention. Attention is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. The more you neglect it, the weaker it gets. Rebuilding focus requires discipline. Start with short periods of uninterrupted work. Gradually increase the duration. Resist the urge to check your phone. Embrace moments of discomfort. At first, it will be challenging. Your mind will wander. You will feel the pull of distractions. But with practice, it becomes easier. And eventually, it becomes natural. A new kind of freedom. Most people think freedom is the ability to do whatever they want. But true freedom is the ability to choose what deserves your attention and to stay with it. In a distracted world, this is rare. When you reclaim your attention, you work with clarity and purpose. You think more deeply. You create more meaningful results. You feel more present in your life. You are no longer controlled by notifications, impulses, or external noise. You become intentional. The choice ahead. The distracted generation faces a choice. You can continue to live in a state of constant interruption, reacting, scrolling, consuming, and staying busy without real progress. Or you can step back, take control, and rebuild your ability to focus. This is not just about productivity. It is about the quality of your thoughts, the depth of your work, the direction of your life. Your attention shapes your reality, and in a world designed to take it from you, protecting it is one of the most important decisions you will ever make. This chapter is not just a warning, it is an invitation to become aware, an invitation to slow down, an invitation to focus. Because in the end, the ability to concentrate deeply is not just a skill, it is a competitive advantage, a source of fulfillment, and a foundation for a meaningful life. The distracted generation does not have to stay distracted, and neither do you. Chapter 2. Why Focus is the New Superpower. In a world overflowing with information, opportunities, and distractions, one ability quietly determines who rises above the noise and who gets lost in it. That ability is focus, not talent, not intelligence, not even hard work alone. Focus, because in today's world, the problem is not a lack of opportunity, it's a lack of attention. Everyone has access to knowledge, tools, and platforms, but very few people have the ability to sit down, concentrate deeply, and turn that potential into meaningful results. This is why focus has become a superpower. Look around, and you'll notice something striking. Deep focus is rare. Most people are checking their phones every few minutes, switching between tasks constantly, consuming more than they create, struggling to stay engaged with one thing. This creates a paradox. While distractions are abundant, focus has become scarce. And whenever something valuable becomes rare, it becomes powerful. In earlier times, physical strength or access to resources created an advantage. Today, the advantage belongs to those who can control their attention, because while others are distracted, you are progressing. Focus is not just another skill, it is a force multiplier. It amplifies your learning speed, your productivity, your creativity, your problem-solving ability. Two people can spend the same amount of time working, but the one who is deeply focused will achieve exponentially better results. Why? Because focused effort is high-quality effort. When you concentrate fully, you understand things faster, you make fewer mistakes, you go deeper instead of staying on the surface. It's not about working longer, it's about working better. In a distracted world, most people operate at the surface level. They skim instead of study, they react instead of think. They produce quickly, but not deeply. This creates a massive opportunity. If you can develop the ability to go deep, to think longer, analyze better, and stay with problems, you immediately stand out. Depth creates better ideas, stronger skills, more meaningful work. While others chase speed, you build substance, and over time, substance wins. Focus and skill mastery. Every valuable skill, whether it's writing, coding, designing, or thinking, requires deep practice. You cannot master anything in a distracted state. When your attention is divided, learning becomes slower, retention becomes weaker, understanding remains shallow. But when you focus deeply, you engage fully with the material. You notice patterns others miss. You build stronger neural connections. This is how mastery is formed. Not through scattered effort, but through concentrated repetition. The people who excel are not necessarily more gifted. They are more focused during practice. The economic value of focus. Focus is not just a personal advantage. It has real-world value. In the modern economy, the highest rewards go to people who can solve complex problems, produce high-quality work, learn quickly, and adapt. All of these require deep concentration. Shallow work, quick replies, minor tasks, constant communication is easy to replicate and often low value. Deep work, strategic thinking, creative output, innovation is rare and highly valuable. This means the more you focus, the more valuable you become. Not because you are doing more, but because you are doing what matters most. Many people think creativity is spontaneous, a sudden burst of inspiration. In reality, creativity is often the result of sustained focus. When you stay with a problem long enough, your mind explores different angles. Ideas begin to connect. Solutions start to emerge. But this process takes time. If you constantly interrupt yourself, you never reach that deeper layer of thinking where creativity lives. Focus creates the space for ideas to develop. Distraction cuts that process short. Focus versus urgency. One of the biggest enemies of focus is the illusion of urgency. Everything feels important. Messages demand immediate replies. Notifications create pressure. Tasks compete for attention, but not everything that is urgent is important. In fact, most high-value work is not urgent, it is just important. It requires time, thought, and uninterrupted effort. The challenge is that urgent tasks are loud, while important tasks are quiet. Focus is the ability to ignore the noise and commit to what truly matters. The mental edge. Focus gives you something most people lack: clarity. When your mind is not constantly interrupted, you think more logically, you make better decisions, you see things more clearly, you are less reactive and more intentional. This mental clarity creates an edge in every area of life: work, learning, relationships, personal growth. Because when you are fully present, you engage at a deeper level. The compounding effect of focus. Focus doesn't just create immediate results, it compounds over time. Each day of focused work builds on the previous one. Skills improve faster, knowledge deepens, confidence grows. Meanwhile, distraction compounds in the opposite direction. Work remains incomplete, skills stagnate, frustration increases. The gap between focused individuals and distracted ones widens over time. At first, the difference is small, but months and years later, it becomes massive. Focus is a long-term advantage. The discipline behind the superpower. Focus may sound simple, but it is not easy. It requires discipline. Not intense, extreme discipline, but consistent, daily discipline. The discipline to start without procrastinating. Stay with a task when it gets difficult. Resist the urge to check distractions. Finish what you begin. This is where most people struggle, not because they lack ability, but because they lack sustained effort. Focus is less about talent and more about commitment. Training your brain for focus. Just like distraction is learned, focus can be trained. But you must retrain your brain. Start small, work without interruption for 20-30 minutes. Gradually increase the duration. Take intentional breaks instead of random ones. At first, your mind will resist. You will feel the urge to check your phone. You will get restless. This is normal. You are breaking a habit. With repetition, your brain adapts. Focus becomes easier. What once felt difficult starts to feel natural. The power of elimination. Focus is not just about what you do, it's about what you remove. Every distraction you eliminate increases your ability to concentrate. This includes unnecessary notifications, cluttered workspaces, excessive multitasking, time-wasting habits. Focus grows in the absence of noise. Sometimes, the best way to improve your productivity is not to add more, but to remove what doesn't matter. Focus and fulfillment. Beyond productivity and success, focus brings something deeper: fulfillment. When you are fully engaged in what you are doing, time feels different. You experience flow. You feel more satisfied with your work. This state, often called being in the zone, is where your best work happens. It is also where work feels meaningful. Distraction, on the other hand, creates emptiness. You do more, but feel less. Focus reconnects you with your work, becoming uncommon. In a distracted world, focus makes you uncommon. While others jump from task to task, seek constant stimulation, avoid deep effort, you stay with the task, go deeper, produce meaningful results. This difference may seem small on a daily basis, but over time, it becomes extraordinary. You don't need to outwork everyone. You simply need to outfocus them. The choice to focus. Focus is not something you wait for. It is something you choose. You choose to put your phone away, close unnecessary tabs, commit to one task, stay present. These small choices, repeated daily, shape your ability to concentrate, and your ability to concentrate shapes your life. The superpower within reach. The idea of a superpower often feels distant, something reserved for the extraordinary. But focus is different. It is available to anyone willing to train it. You don't need special talent. You don't need perfect conditions. You need intention, discipline, and practice. In a world designed to distract you, choosing to focus is a powerful act. The future belongs to the focused. As technology continues to evolve, distractions will only increase. The noise will get louder. The competition for attention will grow stronger. But this only makes focus more valuable. Those who can control their attention will learn faster, work smarter, create better, live more intentionally. They will not just keep up with the world, they will shape it. Focus is no longer optional. It is not just a productivity tool. It is a life skill. It determines what you achieve, what you learn, who you become. In a distracted generation, focus is your advantage, your edge, your superpower. And like any superpower, it becomes stronger the more you use it. The question is not whether you have the ability to focus. The question is whether you are willing to protect it. Because in the end, your attention is your life. And what you choose to focus on will define everything. Chapter 3. The Science of Attention. Focus often feels like a mysterious force. Some days, your mind is sharp, clear, and fully engaged. You move through tasks effortlessly, think deeply, and make real progress. Other days, even simple work feels difficult. Your attention drifts. You get distracted easily. You struggle to stay on track. It's tempting to explain this as motivation, mood, or discipline. But beneath all of that lies something more fundamental: biology. Your ability to focus is not random. It is governed by how your brain is designed to handle attention, process information, and manage energy. When you understand how attention actually works, you stop blaming yourself and start working with your brain instead of against it. What is attention really? Attention is your brain's ability to selectively concentrate on one thing while ignoring others. At any given moment, your senses are receiving an overwhelming amount of information. Sounds around you, visual details in your environment, thoughts in your mind, physical sensations in your body. If your brain tried to process everything equally, you would be overloaded instantly. So it filters. It decides what matters and what doesn't. This filtering system is what allows you to focus. But here's the key. Your brain is not designed to focus on everything. It is designed to focus on what it perceives as important. And in today's world, important is often hijacked by what is loud, new, or stimulating. The two systems of attention. Your brain operates with two main attention systems. 1. The focused system, top-down attention. This is intentional focus. It is when you consciously decide to concentrate on something, reading a book, solving a problem, writing, studying. It requires effort and control. 2. The reactive system, bottom-up attention. This is automatic attention. It is triggered by external stimuli, notifications, loud noises, movement, anything novel or unexpected. It requires no effort. It pulls your attention instantly. In a quiet environment, your focused system leads. In a noisy digital environment, your reactive system dominates. This is why a single notification can break your concentration. Your brain is wired to respond to potential threats or changes in the environment. Thousands of years ago, this helped humans survive. Today, it keeps you distracted. Why multitasking doesn't work? One of the biggest misconceptions about attention is the idea of multitasking. People believe they can do multiple things at once: work while checking messages, study while scrolling, listen while replying. But the brain doesn't truly multitask. Instead, it switches rapidly, back and forth. Each time you switch tasks, your brain must stop the current activity, reorient to the new one, recall relevant information, adjust its focus. This process is not instant. It consumes time and energy. Even worse, it leaves behind something called attention residue, a portion of your focus that remains stuck on the previous task. So when you switch, you're never fully present. You are partially thinking about what you just left, and partially trying to engage with what's in front of you. The result? slower work, more mistakes, reduced understanding, increased mental fatigue. Multitasking feels productive, but it actually reduces performance. The role of working memory. At the core of your attention system is something called working memory. This is your brain's mental workspace. It holds information temporarily while you think, solve problems, or make decisions. But working memory is limited. You can only hold a small amount of information at once. When you overload it by multitasking, switching tasks, or processing too much input, your brain struggles. This leads to forgetfulness, confusion, reduced clarity, poor decision-making. Focus protects your working memory. Distraction overwhelms it. Your brain has a limited capacity for processing information. This is known as cognitive load. Every task you do consumes mental resources. Simple tasks require little effort. Complex tasks require more. But distractions also consume cognitive load. Even small interruptions, like checking a notification, use up mental energy. Over time, this adds up. You feel tired not because you worked too hard, but because your brain was constantly switching, filtering, and processing. This is why a day full of distractions can feel more exhausting than a day of deep, focused work. Your brain is not designed for constant overload. Attention is not just psychological, it is chemical. Your brain relies on neurotransmitters to regulate focus, motivation, and energy. Two of the most important are dopamine. Often associated with reward and motivation, dopamine drives your desire to seek out stimulation. Every notification, message, or new piece of content triggers a small dopamine release. This reinforces the habit of checking, scrolling, and seeking more. Norepinephrine. This chemical is linked to alertness and concentration. It helps your brain stay engaged with a task and maintain focus over time. Balanced levels of these chemicals support deep work, but constant digital stimulation disrupts this balance. Too much quick dopamine makes it harder to stay engaged with slower, effortful tasks. Your brain becomes tuned for novelty instead of depth. What is natural? Why does it feel so difficult? Because your environment is working against it. Your brain evolved to notice new stimuli, respond to changes quickly, seek rewards. Modern technology exploits all of these tendencies. Notifications trigger your reactive system. Endless content feeds your craving for novelty. Quick rewards train your brain to avoid effort. So when you try to focus, you are not just doing a task, you are resisting a system designed to distract you. That resistance feels like effort. The fatigue factor. Attention is not unlimited. It is a finite resource that gets depleted throughout the day. Every decision you make, every distraction you process, every task you switch between, it all consumes mental energy. This leads to cognitive fatigue. Signs of attention fatigue include difficulty concentrating, increased distractibility, slower thinking, reduced motivation. This is not laziness. It is your brain running low on resources. Just like your muscles tire after physical effort, your mind tires after sustained cognitive effort. The myth of constant productivity. Many people believe they should be able to focus for hours without a break. But this goes against how the brain works. Attention naturally fluctuates. Research shows that your brain works best in cycles of focused effort followed by rest. Without breaks, focus declines. Errors increase. Fatigue builds faster. Taking breaks is not a sign of weakness. It is part of optimal performance. Rest allows your brain to recover, reset, and maintain clarity. The default mode network. When you are not actively focusing, your brain doesn't shut off. It shifts into what is called the default mode network. This is the state where your mind wanders. You reflect, you imagine, you process experiences. This mode is essential for creativity, problem solving, emotional processing. But in a world filled with constant stimulation, you rarely enter this state. Instead of letting your mind rest, you fill every gap with input. This reduces your brain's ability to think deeply and creatively, training your attention system. The good news is this: your brain is adaptable. This is called neuroplasticity. the ability of the brain to change based on experience. If distraction can be learned, focus can be rebuilt. You can train your attention system by reducing unnecessary stimuli, practicing sustained focus, taking intentional breaks, avoiding constant task switching. Over time, your brain rewires itself. Focus becomes easier. Distraction becomes less appealing. 1. The power of deep focus. When all these elements align, controlled attention, low cognitive load, balanced brain chemistry, you enter a powerful state, deep focus. In this state, your mind is fully engaged. Distractions fade away. Time feels different. Your performance peaks. This is where your best work happens. Not through force, but through alignment with how your brain naturally operates. Working with your brain. Understanding the science of attention changes everything. You stop expecting yourself to function like a machine. You stop forcing productivity in a distracted environment. Instead, you begin to protect your mental energy. Structure your work around your natural rhythms. Reduce unnecessary inputs. Focus on one thing at a time. You move from frustration to strategy. Your brain is not broken. It is responding exactly as it was designed to. The problem is not your ability to focus. The problem is the environment that constantly pulls your attention away. But once you understand how attention works, you gain control. You can design your habits, your environment, and your workflow to support focus instead of fighting against it. And when you do, something powerful happens. Focus stops feeling like a struggle. It becomes a skill, a system, a strength, because in the end, attention is not just about productivity. It is about how you experience your life. And when you learn to direct it intentionally, you don't just work better, you live better. Chapter 4. Identifying your biggest distractions. Before you can improve your focus, you need to understand one thing clearly. You are not just losing focus randomly, your attention is being pulled again and again by specific forces. Some of these forces are external. They come from your environment, your phone, notifications, noise, people, and digital platforms. Others are internal. They come from within, your thoughts, emotions, habits, and mental patterns. Most people try to focus harder without identifying what is breaking their focus in the first place. That's like trying to fill a bucket without fixing the holes at the bottom. This chapter is about finding those holes, because once you identify your biggest distractions, you can start eliminating them with precision. The 2 types of distractions. All distractions fall into 2 main categories. 1. External distractions. These come from outside you. They interrupt your environment and pull your attention away. 2. Internal distractions. These come from within your mind. They arise as thoughts, urges, emotions, or habits. Most people focus only on external distractions. But the truth is, internal distractions are often more powerful and more dangerous because they are invisible. To truly regain control of your focus, you must understand both. Part 1. External distractions. External distractions are easier to recognize because they are visible, but they are also more engineered than ever before. The notification trap. Your phone is one of the biggest sources of distraction in your life. Every notification, message, email, app alert acts like a trigger. It doesn't just interrupt your work, it creates a psychological loop. You hear or see the notification, your attention shifts instantly, your curiosity increases. You feel the urge to check. Even if you resist, part of your attention is already gone. This is what makes notifications powerful. They don't just distract you, they linger in your mind. Over time, your brain becomes conditioned to expect interruptions. Silence starts to feel unusual. Social media and infinite content. Social media platforms are designed to capture and hold your attention. They use infinite scrolling, personalized algorithms, quick, engaging content, There is no natural stopping point. You don't decide when to stop. The platform does. This creates a loop where minutes turn into hours, and the cost is not just time, it's mental clarity. After long periods of scrolling, your brain becomes overstimulated. Returning to deep work feels harder. Environment overload. Your physical environment also affects your focus. Cluttered spaces, background noise, and constant activity create subtle distractions. Even if you think you are ignoring them, your brain is processing everything in the background. This increases cognitive load. A messy desk, a noisy room, or multiple open tabs may seem harmless, but together they fragment your attention. The accessibility problem. One of the biggest reasons distractions are so powerful today is simple. They are always within reach. Your phone is in your pocket. Your browser has multiple tabs open. Entertainment is one click away. This constant accessibility removes friction, and when something is easy to access, you are more likely to use it, even without intention. Distraction doesn't require effort anymore. Focus does. Part 2. Internal distractions. External distractions may start the problem, but internal distractions keep it going. These are harder to notice, but once you see them, everything changes. The urge to escape. Sometimes you don't get distracted because something external pulls you. You get distracted because something internal pushes you. That something is often discomfort. When a task feels boring, difficult, overwhelming, uncertain, your brain looks for an escape, and distraction becomes the easiest option. You check your phone, you open a new tab, you switch tasks, not because you need to, but because you want relief. Distraction is often emotional avoidance, lack of clarity. One of the biggest hidden distractions is confusion. When you don't know exactly what to do, your brain hesitates. Where should you start? What's the next step? What matters most? This uncertainty creates friction. And instead of pushing through it, your mind looks for something easier. Distraction fills the gap left by lack of clarity, mental overload. If your mind is full, your focus will suffer. Unfinished tasks, worries, ideas, and responsibilities all compete for attention. This creates mental noise. Even if you sit down to work, your brain is juggling multiple thoughts in the background. You may look focused on the outside, but internally, your attention is scattered. This is why you feel distracted even in a quiet environment. The noise is inside your head, the habit of checking. Distraction is not always a reaction. It is often a habit. You check your phone without thinking. You refresh apps automatically. You switch tabs out of routine. These behaviors become automatic over time. They are triggered not by need, but by habit loops. This means you can be distracted even when nothing is demanding your attention. Your brain simply follows a pattern it has learned. Fear of missing out. FOMO. Another powerful internal distraction is the fear of missing out. You feel like something important might be happening. You need to stay updated. You might miss an opportunity or message. This creates a constant urge to check. Even when you know it's unnecessary, the feeling persists. FOMO keeps your attention externally focused, always looking for the next update instead of staying present. Perfectionism and procrastination. Surprisingly, perfectionism is a major source of distraction. When you feel like your work has to be perfect, you hesitate to start. You overthink, you avoid taking action. And what do you do instead? You distract yourself. Procrastination is often not laziness. It is fear disguised as distraction. The awareness shift. Most people try to fix distraction by forcing focus, but this approach rarely works. Why? Because you cannot solve a problem you don't understand. The real solution begins with awareness. Start noticing what pulls your attention away. When you feel the urge to switch tasks, What emotions show up before you get distracted? This awareness changes everything. You stop being controlled by distractions and start observing them, identifying your personal triggers. Not all distractions affect everyone equally. Your biggest distractions are personal. To identify yours, ask yourself, when do I lose focus the most? What do I usually do instead of working? What am I feeling in that moment? What task was I trying to avoid? Patterns will begin to emerge. Maybe it's your phone. Maybe it's boredom. Maybe it's overwhelm. Once you identify your triggers, you can address them directly. The hidden truth about distraction. Here is something most people don't realize. Distraction is not the real problem. It is a symptom. It points to something deeper. Lack of clarity, emotional discomfort, poor environment design, untrained attention. If you only fight the distraction, it will keep coming back. But if you address the root cause, the distraction loses its power. From awareness to control. Once you recognize your distractions, you gain something powerful: choice. You can turn off notifications, change your environment, break unhealthy habits, address internal resistance. Instead of reacting automatically, you start responding intentionally. Focus is not just about discipline, it is about understanding. Understanding what pulls your attention, understanding why it happens, understanding how to respond. When you identify your biggest distractions, you take the first real step toward control. Because you cannot eliminate what you don't see, but once you see it clearly, you can change it. And when you begin to remove the things that steal your attention, something remarkable happens. Focus stops feeling impossible. It becomes achievable. One distraction at a time. Chapter 5. Breaking the multitasking myth. In today's fast-paced world, multitasking is often worn like a badge of honor. People pride themselves on juggling multiple tasks at once, answering messages while working, switching between tabs, attending meetings while replying to emails, and constantly staying busy. It feels efficient. It feels productive. It even feels necessary. But here's the truth. Multitasking is not a strength. It is one of the biggest reasons you accomplish less. The illusion of doing more. Multitasking gives you the feeling of productivity. You're active. You're engaged. You're handling multiple things at once. It creates a sense of momentum. But activity is not the same as progress. When you multitask, you divide your attention, and when your attention is divided, the quality of everything you do drops. You may complete more tasks, but you complete them poorly, and often you take longer than you would have if you had focused on one thing at a time. Multitasking doesn't help you do more. It helps you feel like you're doing more. What your brain is actually doing. Despite popular belief, your brain cannot truly focus on multiple complex tasks at the same time. Instead, it switches rapidly back and forth between tasks. Each time you switch, your brain must pause one task, shift attention, load new information, re-engage with the next task. This process happens in seconds, but the cost is significant. Every switch reduces your efficiency. Every switch drains your mental energy. Every switch weakens your focus. So what feels like multitasking is actually constant interruption. The cost of task switching. The hidden cost of multitasking is not always obvious. You don't see the time lost in switching. You don't notice the drop in quality immediately. But over time, the impact becomes clear. Task switching leads to 1. Slower performance. Tasks take longer to complete because your brain needs time to reorient after each switch. 2. More mistakes. Divided attention increases errors, especially in complex work. 3. Reduced understanding. You process information at a surface level instead of deeply. 4. Mental fatigue. Constant switching exhausts your brain, even if the tasks themselves are not difficult. 5. Lower creativity. Creative thinking requires sustained focus. Multitasking disrupts that process. In short, multitasking doesn't just reduce productivity, it reduces the quality of your thinking. Attention residue. The invisible drag. One of the biggest hidden effects of multitasking is something called attention residue. When you switch from one task to another, part of your attention stays behind. Even if you're physically working on a new task, mentally, you're still thinking about the previous one. This creates a split in your focus. You are never fully present. Over time, this builds up into mental clutter. Your mind feels scattered. You struggle to concentrate deeply because part of your attention is always somewhere else. Attention residue is like trying to run while carrying weights. You can still move, but you are slower and less effective. Why multitasking feels addictive? If multitasking is so ineffective, why do we keep doing it? Because it feels good. Every time you switch tasks, especially when checking messages, notifications, or new content, you get a small hit of stimulation. It creates a sense of progress and engagement. Your brain starts to associate switching with reward. Over time, this becomes a habit. You feel uncomfortable staying with one task for too long. You crave variety. You seek quick stimulation. This is why single tasking can feel boring at first, not because it is ineffective, but because your brain is used to constant change. The myth of "I work better this way." Many people believe they are exceptions. They say, "I work better when I multitask." But research and experience consistently show otherwise. What people often mean is, they are used to multitasking. They feel more stimulated doing multiple things. They have not experienced true deep focus. Familiarity is not effectiveness. Just because you're used to multitasking doesn't mean it works. It simply means your brain has adapted to it. When multitasking actually works, to be fair, there are situations where multitasking is possible, but these are limited. You can combine tasks when one task is automatic, like walking or exercising. The other requires minimal cognitive effort, like listening to music or a podcast. But when both tasks require thinking, attention, or decision-making, multitasking fails. Your brain cannot give full attention to two demanding tasks at once, so while you can pair simple activities, you cannot multiply complex ones. The power of single tasking. If multitasking is the problem, single tasking is the solution. Single tasking means focusing on one task at a time, giving it your full attention, completing it before moving on. It sounds simple, but it is powerful. When you single task, you work faster, you make fewer mistakes, you think more clearly, you produce higher quality results. Most importantly, you enter a state of flow, a deep, focused state where your best work happens, rebuilding your focus muscle. If you've been multitasking for a long time, single tasking may feel uncomfortable at first. Your mind will wander, seek distractions, feel restless. This is normal. You are retraining your brain. Start small. Focus on one task for 20-30 minutes. Remove distractions during that time. Take a break, then repeat. Gradually increase your focus time. Like a muscle, your attention grows stronger with use. Structuring your work for focus. One reason people multitask is because their work is unstructured. Tasks are unclear. Priorities are mixed. Everything feels equally urgent. This leads to constant switching. To avoid this, structure your work. Define one clear task at a time. Set specific time blocks for focused work. Batch similar tasks together. Separate deep work from shallow work. Clarity reduces the need to switch. Structure supports focus. The emotional side of multitasking. Multitasking is not just a productivity issue, It's also emotional. Sometimes you switch tasks not because you need to, but because you want to avoid something. A difficult task, a challenging decision, a fear of failure. Switching gives you temporary relief, but it also prevents progress. Recognizing this pattern is important because breaking multitasking is not just about changing behavior. It's about facing discomfort, doing less to achieve more. One of the most powerful mindset shifts you can make is this: doing fewer things leads to better results. When you try to do everything at once, you dilute your effort. When you focus on one thing, you concentrate your energy. This is how real progress happens. Not through scattered effort, but through focused intensity. The competitive advantage. In a world where most people are constantly distracted and multitasking, the ability to focus deeply is rare, and rarity creates value. If you can, stay with one task, ignore distractions, work with full attention, you will outperform most people, not by working harder, but by working smarter. Multitasking is one of the biggest myths of modern productivity. It promises efficiency but delivers fragmentation. It feels productive but reduces performance. The truth is simple: you cannot do everything at once, at least not well. But you don't need to, because when you focus on one thing at a time, you don't just get more done, you get the right things done, better, faster, and with greater impact. In the end, success is not about how many things you juggle. It's about how deeply you can focus. And when you let go of multitasking, you make space for something far more powerful: clarity, control, and true productivity. Chapter 6. Building a deep work routine. Focus is not something you rely on, it's something you design. Many people wait for the right mood to do meaningful work. They hope motivation will show up, that distractions will fade, and that concentration will come naturally. But deep focus doesn't happen by accident. It is built through routine. A structured, intentional routine turns focus from a struggle into a system. It reduces decision-making, removes friction, and creates the conditions where deep work becomes not just possible, but predictable. This chapter is about building that system. Why routine matters more than motivation. Motivation is unreliable. Some days you feel energized, other days you don't. If your productivity depends on how you feel, your results will always be inconsistent. Routine solves this problem. It removes the need to decide whether to focus. You simply follow a structure you've already committed to. When you have a routine, you don't waste time figuring out what to do. You reduce mental resistance. You enter work mode faster. Routine turns focus into a habit instead of a battle. What is deep work, really? Deep work is a state of intense concentration where you focus on a cognitively demanding task without distraction. It requires full attention, mental clarity, sustained effort. This is where your most valuable work happens: learning complex skills, solving difficult problems, creating meaningful output. But deep work doesn't happen in a chaotic schedule. It requires structure. Step 1. Choose your deep work time. Not all hours are equal. Your brain has natural peaks and dips in energy throughout the day. For most people, the best time for deep work is early morning, before distractions begin, or a quiet, uninterrupted block during the day. The key is consistency. Choose a time when your energy is highest. Interruptions are minimal. You can work uninterrupted. This becomes your focus window. Protect it. Treat it as non-negotiable. Step 2. Define one clear priority. Before you start your deep work session, you must know exactly what you're working on. Vague intentions lead to distraction. Clarity creates focus. Instead of saying, "I'll work on something important," say, "I will complete this specific task." For example, write 1,000 words, solve a set of problems, study a specific topic. one task, one goal. This reduces decision fatigue and keeps your mind anchored. Step 3. Eliminate distractions before you begin. Deep work doesn't start when you sit down. It starts when you remove what can interrupt you. Prepare your environment. Turn off notifications. Put your phone out of reach. Close unnecessary tabs. Inform others you're unavailable. This is critical. If distractions are within reach, your brain will constantly check for them, even if you resist. Removing distractions before starting reduces temptation and protects your focus. Step 4. Use time blocks. Your brain works best in structured intervals. Instead of working endlessly, use time blocks. For example, 60-90 minutes of deep work, followed by a short break. During the block, focus on one task only. Do not switch. Do not check anything unrelated. When the time ends, rest. This creates a rhythm. Focus, tron rest, tron focus, tron rest. It allows you to sustain high performance without burnout. Step 5. Create a starting ritual. One of the hardest parts of deep work is starting. A starting ritual helps you transition into focus mode quickly. This can be simple: sitting at the same workspace, opening only the tools you need, taking a deep breath before beginning, reviewing your task. Over time, this ritual signals your brain it's time to focus, and your mind responds accordingly. Step 6. Embrace discomfort. Deep work is not always comfortable. At some point, you will feel bored, frustrated, restless. This is where most people quit. They check their phone, they switch tasks, they escape. But this discomfort is part of the process. It's the moment where your brain is pushing beyond its usual limits. If you stay with it, something shifts. Your focus deepens. Your thinking sharpens. Learning to sit with discomfort is essential for deep work. Step 7. Take meaningful breaks. Breaks are not a distraction. They are a necessity. But not all breaks are equal. Scrolling through your phone during a break keeps your brain stimulated. It doesn't allow real recovery. Instead, choose restorative breaks. Walk around, stretch, sit quietly, look away from screens. These activities reset your mind. They prepare you for the next session of focus. Step 8. End with reflection. At the end of your deep work session, take a moment to reflect. What did you accomplish? What worked well? What can improve? This reinforces progress. It also helps you refine your routine over time. Deep work is not just about doing. It's about improving how you work, building consistency. The real power of a deep work routine comes from consistency. Doing it once is helpful. Doing it daily is transformative. At first, it may feel difficult. Your mind will resist. Distractions will tempt you. Focus will feel unstable. But with repetition, something changes. Your brain adapts. Focus becomes easier. Distraction loses its grip. What once required effort becomes natural. Protecting your routine. Once you build a deep work routine, you must protect it, because the world will try to interrupt it. Messages will come. Requests will appear. Urgent tasks will demand attention. You must decide what deserves your focus. Not everything is equally important. Your deep work time should be reserved for high-value tasks. The work that truly moves your life forward. The identity shift. At some point, deep work stops being something you do. It becomes part of who you are. You become someone who focuses deeply, works with intention, resists unnecessary distractions. This identity shift is powerful, because when you see yourself this way, your actions align naturally. You don't force focus. You embody it. The long-term impact. A daily deep work routine may seem small, but its impact compounds over time. Skills grow faster, work quality improves, confidence increases. Months later, the difference is clear. You are no longer reacting to the world. You are creating within it. Deep work is not reserved for a few exceptional people. It is available to anyone willing to build the habits that support it. You don't need perfect conditions. You need structure, a routine that protects your time, guides your attention, supports your energy. Because in the end, focus is not about willpower. It is about design. And when you design your days around deep work, you don't just become more productive, you become more intentional, more capable, more in control, one focused session at a time. Chapter 7. Training your brain for focus. Focus is not something you either have or don't have. It is a skill. And like any skill, it can be trained, strengthened, and refined over time. Most people assume their inability to focus is permanent. They say, "I get distracted easily," or "I just can't concentrate." But what they're really experiencing is an untrained mind in an overstimulated environment. Your brain adapts to how you use it. If you constantly switch tasks, consume short bursts of content, and avoid sustained effort, your brain becomes wired for distraction. But if you practice focus intentionally, consistently, your brain rewires itself for concentration. This is the principle of neuroplasticity. You can train your brain to focus, and this chapter will show you how. The truth about focus training. Before we get into techniques, you need to understand one thing. Focus is not built in moments of comfort. It is built in moments of resistance. Every time you feel the urge to check your phone, but don't, every time your mind wanders and you bring it back, every time you stay with a task a little longer than you want to, you are training your attention. These small moments are like repetitions in a workout. They strengthen your mental muscle. Part 1. Mental exercises for focus. Let's start with direct ways to train your brain. Exercise 1. The focus interval. This is one of the simplest and most effective ways to build concentration. Set a timer for a short period. Start with 20-30 minutes. During this time, work on one task only. No distractions, no switching. If your mind wanders, bring it back. If you feel the urge to check something, resist it. When the timer ends, take a short break. This exercise trains sustained attention, impulse control, mental endurance. Over time, increase the duration. Focus is built gradually, not instantly. Exercise 2. Attention reset. Your mind will wander. That's normal. The key is how quickly you bring it back. This exercise strengthens that ability. While working, notice when your attention drifts. Don't get frustrated. Simply bring your focus back to the task. Every time you do this, you are reinforcing control. Think of it like this: distraction is not failure. Returning to focus is success. The more you practice returning, the stronger your attention becomes. Exercise 3. Single task practice. Choose everyday activities and do them with full attention. Eating without your phone. Walking without distractions, listening fully during conversations. This may seem small, but it has a big impact. You are training your brain to stay present. Focus is not just something you practice during work, it's something you practice throughout your day. Exercise 4. Deep reading. Reading is one of the best ways to train focus. But not scrolling, not skimming. Deep reading. Choose a book or long article and read without interruption. No switching tabs, no checking your phone. At first it may feel difficult. Your mind will want to wander. Stay with it. Reading trains sustained attention, comprehension, mental discipline. It's like a workout for your brain. Exercise 5. Mindfulness training. Mindfulness is the practice of paying attention to the present moment. A simple way to start. Sit quietly, focus on your breath. When your mind wanders, bring it back. That's it. It may sound easy, but it's powerful. This exercise strengthens your ability to notice distractions, let them go, return to focus. Even 5-10 minutes a day can make a difference. Part 2. Lifestyle habits that strengthen focus. Mental exercises are important, but your lifestyle also plays a major role. Your brain's ability to focus depends on how well it is supported. Sleep, the foundation of attention. If your sleep is poor, your focus will be too. Sleep affects attention span, memory, decision-making, mental clarity. When you are sleep-deprived, you get distracted easily. You struggle to concentrate. Your brain seeks quick stimulation. No amount of discipline can replace rest. Improving your sleep is one of the fastest ways to improve your focus. Nutrition and brain function. Your brain needs fuel. What you eat affects how you think. Stable energy supports sustained attention. Unstable energy leads to brain fog, fatigue, reduced concentration. Simple habits help. Eat balanced meals. Stay hydrated. Avoid excessive sugar spikes. You don't need a perfect diet, just consistent supportive habits. Physical movement. Exercise is not just for your body, it's for your brain. Movement improves blood flow to the brain, mental clarity, energy levels. Even simple activities like walking can reset your mind. If you feel stuck or distracted, movement can help you regain focus, reducing digital overload. If your brain is constantly stimulated, it cannot focus deeply. Too much scrolling, notifications, fast content trains your brain to expect constant input. To reverse this, you need to reduce overload. Limit unnecessary screen time. Create tech-free periods. Avoid starting your day with distractions. This gives your brain space to reset. Building tolerance for boredom. Focus requires patience, but modern habits reduce your tolerance for boredom. If you constantly fill every moment with stimulation, your brain forgets how to sit still. To train focus, you must rebuild this tolerance. Sit without your phone. Wait without checking anything. Allow moments of silence. At first, it feels uncomfortable, but over time, it becomes normal. And in that stillness, focus grows. Part 3. Strengthening mental discipline. Focus is not just about ability, it's about control. Delayed gratification. Every time you resist a distraction, you are practicing delayed gratification. You are choosing long-term benefit over short-term comfort. This builds discipline. Start small. Finish your task before checking your phone. Complete a work session before taking a break. These small choices strengthen your ability to stay focused. Keeping promises to yourself. Every time you say, "I'll focus," and then get distracted, you weaken trust in yourself. But every time you follow through, you strengthen it. Focus is not just mental, it's personal. It's about becoming someone who does what they say they will do. Consistency over intensity. You don't need extreme effort, you need consistent effort. Training your brain for focus is not about one perfect day, it's about daily practice, short focus sessions, regular habits, gradual improvement. Consistency rewires your brain, the transformation. When you train your brain for focus, something changes. You think more clearly, you work more efficiently, you feel more in control. Distractions don't disappear, but they lose their power. You are no longer reacting automatically. You are choosing where your attention goes. Your brain is adaptable. It becomes what you train it to be. If you train it for distraction, it will crave distraction. If you train it for focus, it will support focus. The choice is not made once, it is made daily, in small moments. When you resist an urge, when you return to your work, when you stay present. These moments shape your mind, and over time, they shape your life. Because focus is not just a skill, it is a way of thinking, a way of working, a way of living. Train it, and it will transform everything. Chapter 8. Designing a distraction-free environment. Most people believe focus is purely a matter of willpower. They think if they just try harder, push themselves more, or be disciplined enough, they will finally overcome distraction. But here's the truth. You don't rise to the level of your willpower. You fall to the level of your environment. Your surroundings silently shape your behavior. They influence what you pay attention to, how you feel, and how easily you can concentrate. If your environment is filled with distractions, your focus will always be a struggle, no matter how motivated you are. But when your environment supports focus, everything becomes easier. This chapter is about designing that environment. Every space sends signals to your brain. A cluttered desk signals chaos. A noisy room signals alertness. A phone in your line of sight signals temptation. These signals may seem small, but they add up. Your brain is constantly scanning your surroundings, deciding what deserves attention. When there are too many competing signals, your focus becomes fragmented. This is why you can sit down with the intention to work and still feel distracted within minutes. It's not just your mind, it's your environment. The principle of friction, one of the most powerful ways to control behavior, is through friction. Friction is how easy or difficult it is to do something. Low friction equals easy to do. High friction are hard to do. Right now, distractions are low friction. Your phone is within reach. Apps open instantly. Entertainment is always available. Focus, on the other hand, often requires effort. To reverse this, you must redesign your environment. Increase friction for distractions, decrease friction for focus. This simple shift can transform your behavior without relying on constant discipline. Designing your workspace. Your workspace is where focus either thrives or struggles. A well-designed workspace should do one thing: reduce decision-making and eliminate unnecessary input. Start with simplicity. Keep only what you need on your desk. Remove visual clutter. Use a clean, organized layout. When your environment is simple, your mind feels clearer. You are not constantly processing unnecessary information. The power of visual cues. What you see influences what you do. If your workspace is filled with distractions, your phone, open tabs, unrelated materials, your brain will naturally drift toward them. Instead, design your space with intentional cues. Keep your current task visible. Place tools for work within easy reach. Remove or hide distractions. Make the right action obvious. Make the wrong action invisible. Controlling digital space. Your digital environment is just as important as your physical one. In fact, it's often more distracting. Multiple tabs, constant notifications, and endless content create a chaotic mental space. To design a distraction-free digital environment, close unnecessary tabs, turn off non-essential notifications, use full screen mode for work, keep only relevant tools open. Your screen should reflect your focus, not compete with it. The phone problem. Your phone is one of the biggest barriers to deep focus. Even when you're not using it, its presence affects your attention. Just seeing your phone can reduce cognitive capacity. The solution is simple, but powerful. Keep your phone out of reach. Place it in another room if possible. Turn it off or on, silent, during deep work. This creates distance, and distance reduces temptation, sound, and focus. Noise is another major factor. Some people can work in noisy environments, but most experience reduced focus. Your brain processes sound even when you're not paying attention to it. This increases cognitive load. To improve focus, choose a quiet environment when possible. Use noise-canceling tools if needed. Play consistent, non-distracting background sound if silence feels uncomfortable. The goal is not absolute silence, it's controlled sound. Lighting and energy. Lighting affects how you feel and how you think. Dim lighting can make you feel tired. Harsh lighting can feel overwhelming. Natural light is ideal. It supports alertness and mood. If natural light isn't available, use lighting that is bright enough to keep you alert, soft enough to avoid strain. Your environment should energize you, not drain you. Creating zones for focus. One powerful strategy is to create specific zones for different activities. A space for deep work, a space for relaxation, a space for casual tasks. When you consistently use a space for one purpose, your brain associates that environment with that activity. Over time, entering your workspace triggers focus. Leaving it signals rest. This reduces the need for mental effort. Your environment does part of the work for you. The role of routine in environment. Environment and routine work together. Your environment supports your routine. Your routine reinforces your environment. For example, sitting at the same desk at the same time each day, starting work with the same setup, ending work and resetting your space. These patterns create consistency, and consistency strengthens focus. Removing hidden distractions. Some distractions are obvious, others are subtle. Background TV, unnecessary browser tabs, objects that trigger unrelated thoughts. These may seem harmless, but they divide your attention. To identify hidden distractions, ask, what in this environment pulls my attention away, even slightly? Then remove or reduce it. Small improvements create big results over time. Designing for ease. Focus should not feel like a constant battle. If it does, your environment is working against you. Design your space so that starting work is easy, staying focused is natural. Distractions are inconvenient. When the path of least resistance leads to focus, you don't need to rely on willpower. Adapting your environment. There is no perfect setup that works for everyone. Your ideal environment depends on your type of work, your personality, your preferences. The key is to experiment. Try different setups. Notice what improves your focus. Adjust as needed. Design is not a one-time decision. It's an ongoing process. The psychological impact. A well-designed environment does more than improve focus. It changes how you feel. You feel calmer. You feel more in control. You feel ready to work. This emotional shift matters. Because focus is not just cognitive, it's psychological. When your environment supports you, your mind follows. From chaos to clarity. Think of your environment as either noise or clarity. A chaotic space creates a chaotic mind. A clear space creates a clear mind. By removing what doesn't matter, you create space for what does. And in that space, focus grows. You don't need more willpower. You need a better environment. Because every distraction you remove is one less battle you have to fight. Every improvement you make is one step closer to effortless focus. Design your surroundings with intention. Shape them to support your goals. Because in the end, your environment is not just where you work. It is what shapes how you work. And when you design it wisely, focus stops being difficult. It becomes natural. Chapter 9. The confidence that comes from focus. Most people think confidence comes first. They believe you need to feel confident before you can do meaningful work, stay consistent, or achieve something valuable. But in reality, confidence doesn't come before action. It comes from it. More specifically, it comes from focused action. The kind where you show up, give your full attention, and follow through on what you said you would do. Focus doesn't just improve your productivity, it transforms how you see yourself. The missing link between focus and confidence. Confidence is often misunderstood. It's not about feeling good all the time. It's not about being fearless. It's not about having everything figured out. True confidence is simple. It's the belief that you can rely on yourself. And that belief is built through evidence. Every time you sit down to work and actually focus, resist distractions, and stay on task, complete something you started, you create evidence. Evidence that you can trust yourself. Focus is how that evidence is built. The broken promise cycle. Many people struggle with confidence not because they lack ability, but because they've lost trust in themselves. They tell themselves, "I'll start tomorrow. I'll focus this time. I won't get distracted." But then they procrastinate. They get distracted. They don't follow through. This creates a cycle. You make a promise, you break it, you lose trust in yourself. Over time, this damages your confidence. You start to doubt your own intentions, not because you're incapable, but because your actions don't match your words. Focus as self-trust in action. Focus breaks this cycle. When you focus, even for a short period, you are doing something powerful. You are keeping a promise to yourself. You said you would work, and you did. You said you would stay focused, and you did. You said you would finish, and you did. These small wins matter. They rebuild trust. And trust is the foundation of confidence. Small wins, big impact. Confidence doesn't come from big achievements alone. It comes from consistent small wins. A single focused session may not feel life-changing, but repeated daily, it creates momentum. You start finishing tasks. You see progress. You feel more capable. This changes your internal dialogue. Instead of thinking, "I can't focus," you begin to think, "I can do this." That shift is powerful. The momentum effect. Focus creates momentum, and momentum builds confidence. When you complete one task, it becomes easier to start the next. When you have a productive day, you are more likely to repeat it. This creates a positive loop. Focus, creates confidence, more focus. Over time, this loop strengthens. You don't just work better, you feel stronger mentally. Clarity reduces doubt. One of the biggest sources of insecurity is uncertainty. When you are distracted, you don't fully understand your work. You second-guess your decisions. You feel unsure about your progress. But when you focus deeply, you think more clearly, you understand better, you make more confident decisions. Clarity reduces doubt, and focus creates clarity. Mastery builds confidence. Confidence grows when you improve, and improvement requires focused effort. When you spend time in deep work, you develop skills faster, you notice your progress, you gain competence. This leads to a different kind of confidence, not based on hope, but on ability. You don't just believe you can do something, you know you can, because you've practiced it. The emotional stability of focus. Distraction creates emotional instability. You feel scattered, you feel behind, you feel overwhelmed. Focus does the opposite. It grounds you. When you are fully engaged in a task, you are present, you are calm, you are in control. This emotional stability contributes to confidence, because confidence is not just about achievement, it's about how you feel while working toward it. Becoming someone who finishes. One of the most powerful identity shifts is this: becoming someone who finishes what they start. Many people begin things with excitement. Few follow through. Focus bridges that gap. It allows you to stay with a task, push through difficulty, complete what you begin. Each completed task reinforces your identity. I am someone who gets things done. That identity builds confidence naturally. The power of consistency. Confidence is not built in one day. It is built through consistency. Not perfect consistency, but repeated effort. Showing up even when you don't feel like it. Focusing even when it's difficult. Continuing even when progress is slow. Each day adds a layer, and over time, those layers become strong. Focus reduces comparison. When you are distracted, you tend to look outward. You compare yourself to others. You scroll through their achievements. You feel behind. But when you are focused, your attention shifts inward. You focus on your work. You track your own progress. You improve your own skills. Comparison fades, and confidence grows. Because you are no longer measuring yourself against others, you are measuring yourself against your own growth. Trusting the process. Focus teaches patience. It shows you that meaningful progress takes time. When you consistently engage in deep work, you see gradual improvement. You learn to trust the process. You stop chasing quick results. This builds a quiet, steady confidence. Not loud or flashy, but strong and reliable. From doubt to control. Distraction creates a feeling of being out of control. You react to everything. You lose track of your time. You feel pulled in different directions. Focus restores control. You decide what to work on. You decide where your attention goes. You stay with it. Control leads to confidence. Because when you control your attention, you control your actions. The identity shift. At some point, something changes. Focus is no longer something you force. It becomes part of who you are. You become someone who can concentrate, someone who follows through, someone who trusts themselves. This identity is powerful because once you believe it, your actions align with it. The long-term transformation. The confidence built through focus is different from temporary motivation. It is stable. It is earned. It is based on repeated proof. Months of focused work lead to stronger skills, clearer thinking, greater self-trust, and that combination creates real confidence. Confidence is not something you wait for. It is something you build, and one of the most reliable ways to build it is through focus. Every time you choose to concentrate, every time you resist distraction, every time you follow through, you are strengthening your belief in yourself. Focus is not just a productivity tool, it is a confidence-building system. Because in the end, confidence doesn't come from what you say, it comes from what you repeatedly do. And when you consistently show up, focus, and follow through, you don't just get better results, you become someone you can trust. And that is the strongest form of confidence there is. Chapter 10. Living a Focused Life. Focus is not just a skill you use during work, it is a way of living. Most people treat focus as something temporary, something they turn on when they need to be productive and turn off when they don't. But this approach limits its power, because the truth is, a focused life creates focused work, and a distracted life creates distracted results. This final chapter is not about doing more, it's about becoming someone who lives with clarity, intention, and purpose. Someone whose attention is aligned with what truly matters, from moments of focus to a life of focus. Earlier, you learned how to focus for short periods. You practiced deep work, you reduced distractions, you trained your attention. But the real transformation happens when focus moves beyond isolated sessions and becomes part of your daily life. This means being intentional with your time, choosing what deserves your attention, aligning your actions with your priorities. Focus is no longer something you do. It becomes who you are, the power of clarity. A focused life begins with clarity. Without clarity, your attention has no direction. You drift from one task to another, reacting to whatever comes your way. You stay busy, but not effective. Clarity answers the most important questions. What truly matters to me? What am I working toward? What deserves my time and energy? When you have clear answers, focus becomes easier because you are not trying to do everything. You are choosing what matters. Living with intention. Most people live reactively. They respond to notifications, requests, urgent tasks, external demands. Their attention is controlled by the outside world. A focused life is different. It is intentional. You decide what you work on, when you work, how you spend your time. This doesn't mean ignoring responsibilities. It means approaching them with awareness instead of autopilot. The discipline of saying no. One of the most important parts of a focused life is what you don't do. Every yes is a commitment of attention, and your attention is limited. If you say yes to everything, you dilute your focus. You spread yourself too thin. Living a focused life requires the discipline to say no. No to unnecessary tasks. No to constant distractions. No to things that don't align with your priorities. This creates space, and in that space, focus grows, aligning your daily actions. A focused life is built daily, not through big decisions, but through small, consistent actions. Ask yourself, does what I'm doing right now align with what matters most? If the answer is no, Adjust. Over time, these small adjustments create alignment between your goals and your actions. And alignment creates progress. Managing your energy, not just time. Time is limited, but so is energy. You can have hours available and still struggle to focus if your energy is low. A focused life requires managing both. This means prioritizing rest, maintaining physical health, taking breaks when needed. Focus is not about pushing yourself endlessly. It's about working with your energy, not against it. Creating boundaries. In a distracted world, boundaries are essential. Without them, your attention is constantly interrupted. Boundaries protect your focus. They can be time boundaries, dedicated work hours, digital boundaries, limited screen time, social boundaries, reducing interruptions. At first, setting boundaries may feel uncomfortable, but over time, they create freedom. Because you are no longer pulled in every direction, being present in every area of life. A focused life is not just about work, it's about presence. Being fully engaged in your work, being fully present with people, being aware of your thoughts and actions. Distraction doesn't just reduce productivity, it reduces the quality of your experiences. When your mind is always elsewhere, you miss what's happening right in front of you. Focus brings you back. The simplicity advantage. A focused life is often a simpler life. Not empty, but intentional. You remove what doesn't matter. You keep what does. This applies to your schedule, your environment, your commitments. Simplicity reduces noise, and less noise means more clarity. Long-term thinking. Distraction is short-term. Focus is long-term. A focused life is built on thinking beyond the present moment. What will matter a year from now? What actions will create lasting impact? What habits will shape my future? When you think long-term, your priorities change. You invest in what truly matters, and that investment compounds over time. The compounding effect of a focused life. The benefits of focus don't just appear once, they grow. Each day of intentional action builds on the last. Skills improve. Work becomes more meaningful. Results become more consistent. Over time, the gap between a focused life and a distracted one becomes enormous. Not because of dramatic changes, but because of consistent direction. Handling distractions without losing control. Living a focused life doesn't mean eliminating all distractions. That's unrealistic. Distractions will always exist. The difference is how you respond. Instead of reacting automatically, you notice the distraction, decide whether it matters, return to your focus if it doesn't. This awareness keeps you in control. The identity of a focused person. At the highest level, focus becomes identity. You are no longer someone who tries to focus. You are someone who values attention, protects time, works with intention, follows through. This identity shapes your choices naturally. You don't need constant effort. Your behavior aligns with who you are. Achievement with meaning. Focus leads to achievement, but more importantly, it leads to meaningful achievement. You are not just completing tasks, you are building something. Skills, knowledge, a career, a life. And because your actions are intentional, your results reflect what truly matters to you. A life of control and freedom. It may seem like focus limits freedom, but the opposite is true. Distraction creates chaos. Focus creates control, and control creates freedom. Freedom from constant interruption. Freedom from wasted time. Freedom to choose your direction. When you control your attention, you control your life. Living a focused life is not about perfection. You will still get distracted. You will still have off days. But the difference is awareness. You return to focus again and again because you understand its value, because you've experienced its impact, because you've built your life around it. In the end, focus is not just about productivity. It is about how you live, with clarity, with intention, with purpose. And when you live this way, something powerful happens. Your days become meaningful. Your work becomes impactful. Your life becomes directed, because where your attention goes, your life follows. So choose wisely and live focused.